Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Please consider subscribing and check out our Patreon for more. Enjoy the video. The front door clicked shut, followed by the familiar rumble of the garage door rolling down. Silence settled over the house as the car engine faded into the distance. Heart pounding, Kai peered out the living room window, watching his parents' sedan disappear around the corner. A giddy excitement bubbled up inside him. Finally, after weeks of anticipation, the house was his for the entire weekend. No interruptions, no fear of being discovered. Just him and the freedom to be who he truly wanted to be. Kai practically skipped up the stairs, taking them two at a time. He'd been planning this for months, slowly accumulating everything he needed and hiding it away. Now it was time to bring his dream to life. In his bedroom, Kai dropped to his knees and reached under the bed, pulling out a large cardboard box. His hands shook slightly as he lifted the lid, revealing the treasures within. Silky fabrics in pastel hues peeked out, along with an assortment of tubes, bottles, and brushes. "Okay, Quinn," he whispered to himself, using the name he'd chosen for his feminine persona. "Let's do this." The first order of business was hair removal. Kai gathered up his supplies and headed to the bathroom, locking the door out of habit even though he was alone. He filled the tub with warm water and added a capful of lavender-scented bubble bath, letting the sweet aroma fill the air. As the tub filled, Kai stripped off his t-shirt and basketball shorts, avoiding his reflection in the mirror. He didn't want to see his masculine form just yet. That would come later, when the transformation was complete. Sinking into the warm, fragrant water, Kai let out a contented sigh. He soaked for a few minutes, letting the heat soften his skin and hair. Then he got to work, carefully shaving every inch of his body. He took his time, not wanting to nick or cut himself in his eagerness. An hour later, Kai emerged from the tub feeling silky smooth from head to toe. He wrapped himself in a fluffy towel and padded back to his room, leaving damp footprints on the hardwood floor. Next came moisturizer, smoothed over every inch of freshly shaved skin. Kai reveled in how soft and feminine his body felt. He slipped on a pair of pink panties and bra. Sitting at his desk, Kai opened his laptop and pulled up a playlist of makeup tutorials he'd been studying for weeks. It was time for the real transformation to begin. He started with a tinted moisturizer, blending it carefully to even out his skin tone. Then came concealer to hide any blemishes or dark circles. A light dusting of setting powder kept everything in place. Kai's hand trembled slightly as he picked up the eyeliner. This was the trickiest part, requiring a steady hand and lots of practice. He'd spent hours perfecting his technique on scratch paper. Now it was time for the real thing. Leaning close to the mirror, Kai carefully drew a thin black line along his upper lash line, flicking it up slightly at the outer corner for a subtle cat-eye effect. He held his breath as he moved to the other eye, praying for symmetry. When he leaned back to check the results, a smile spread across his face. Not bad for a first attempt on actual eyes. Next came eyeshadow in soft, shimmery pinks and purples. Kai blended the colors carefully, building up the intensity at the outer corners. A coat of mascara made his lashes look long and fluttery. For his lips, Kai chose a pretty rose-pink lipstick, applying it carefully with a brush for precision. He blotted his lips together, then added a touch of clear gloss for shine. The final touch was a light dusting of shimmery blush on the apples of his cheeks. Kai sat back, studying his reflection. The face looking back at him was softer, more delicate, feminine. His heart swelled with joy. "Hello, Quinn," he whispered, his voice catching with emotion. But the transformation wasn't complete yet. Quinn now stood and moved to the closet. She'd hidden her feminine clothes at the very back, tucked behind winter coats and old Halloween costumes. Quinn pulled out a floral sundress in shades of pink and yellow. The lightweight fabric felt heavenly against her smooth skin as she slipped it on. The skirt fell to just above her knees, swishing gently as she moved. A pair of nude heels completed the outfit. Quinn wobbled slightly as she stood, not used to the extra height. She took a few experimental steps, slowly finding her balance. Finally, Quinn donned a long blonde wig, carefully arranging the silky strands to frame her face. She fluffed the waves, marveling at how realistic it looked. Taking a deep breath, Quinn turned to face the full-length mirror on her closet door. The young woman staring back at her took her breath away. Gone was any trace of Kai, the 21-year-old college student who lived with his parents. In his place stood Quinn, beautiful, feminine, and radiant with happiness. Tears pricked at Quinn's eyes, threatening to ruin her carefully applied mascara. She blinked them back, not wanting to spoil the illusion just yet. There would be time for emotional moments later. Right now, she wanted to revel in finally being her true self. Quinn twirled in front of the mirror, watching the skirt of her dress flare out around her legs. She practiced walking in her heels, gaining confidence with each step. Her reflection smiled back at her, eyes sparkling with joy. After what felt like hours of admiring herself, Quinn decided it was time for a change of scenery. She carefully made her way downstairs, one hand on the railing for balance. In the kitchen, she poured herself a glass of white wine, feeling utterly glamorous and grown up. Wine in hand, Quinn settled onto the living room couch, tucking her legs beneath her and smoothing her skirt. She sipped the crisp, fruity wine and let out a contented sigh. This was everything she'd dreamed of for so long. As the afternoon wore on, Quinn found herself feeling more and more comfortable in her feminine persona. She fixed herself a light dinner, carefully reapplying her lipstick afterward. She put on some music and danced around the living room, reveling in the swish of her skirt and the click of her heels on the hardwood floor. As evening fell, Quinn decided it was time for an outfit change. She'd been saving her favorite dress for last, a slinky black number with spaghetti straps and a low back. It hugged her body in all the right places, making her feel nice and confident. Quinn carefully touched up her makeup, adding a bit more drama for nighttime. She rimmed her eyes with smoky gray eyeshadow and swapped out her pink lipstick for a deep red. A spritz of flowery perfume completed the look. Feeling bold, Quinn decided to take some selfies to commemorate the evening. She set up her phone on a timer and struck various poses, channeling her inner model. Looking through the photos afterward, she could hardly believe it was really her. She looked so natural, so at ease in her feminine attire. As the night wore on, Quinn found herself growing drowsy. The events of the day, the excitement, the nerves, the joy, had left her emotionally and physically drained. She considered removing her makeup and changing back into her usual sleepwear, but the thought made her heart ache. She wasn't ready to let go of Quinn just yet. Instead, she carefully removed her wig and heels, then slipped into a silky nightgown. She left her makeup on, wanting to wake up still feeling pretty and feminine. Curling up in bed, Quinn fell asleep with a smile on her face, looking forward to another day of being her true self. The next morning, Quinn awoke to sunlight streaming through her window. For a moment, she forgot about the events of the previous day. Then she felt the silky nightgown against her skin, and memories came flooding back. A giddy excitement filled her as she realized she had another full day to be herself. After a quick touch-up of her makeup, Quinn decided to start her day with a relaxing bubble bath. She filled the tub with warm water and sweet-smelling bubbles, then carefully lowered herself in, mindful not to get her hair wet. As she soaked, Quinn let her mind wander. She'd dreamed of days like this for so long, but the reality was even better than she'd imagined. There was a freedom in being Quinn that she'd never experienced as Kai. A sense of rightness, of finally being in tune with her true self. After her bath, Quinn took her time getting ready for the day. She chose a pretty blue sundress with a sweetheart neckline and a full, swishy skirt that fell just below her knees. The color brought out the blue in her eyes, making them seem to sparkle. For her makeup, Quinn opted for a softer look than the previous day. She used neutral eyeshadows in shades of taupe and champagne, blending them carefully for a natural effect. A thin line of brown eyeliner along her upper lashes made her eyes look wider and more feminine. She finished with a coat of mascara and a swipe of pale pink lip gloss. Quinn spent the morning puttering around the house, enjoying domestic tasks she usually found tedious. There was something soothing about doing the dishes and folding laundry while dressed in pretty, feminine clothes. She hummed to herself as she worked, feeling more content than she had in years. As lunchtime approached, Quinn felt a pang of restlessness. She'd been cooped up in the house for over 24 hours now, and part of her longed to go out and experience the world as her true self. But fear held her back. What if someone recognized her? What if she ran into someone she knew? Quinn paced the living room, debating with herself. On one hand, the thought of being seen in public as a woman both thrilled and terrified her. On the other hand, she might never get another chance like this. Her parents wouldn't be back until late Sunday night. This could be her only opportunity to truly live as Quinn. Heart pounding, Quinn made her decision. She was going out. She headed upstairs to change, wanting something a bit more sophisticated for her first public outing as Quinn. After careful consideration, she chose a knee-length black skirt and a silky emerald green blouse. The outfit was classy yet feminine, perfect for a casual afternoon out. Quinn touched up her makeup, adding a bit more blush to give herself a healthy glow. She swapped out her pink lip gloss for a bolder rose color, then added a pair of dangly silver earrings for a finishing touch. Standing in front of the mirror, Quinn took several deep breaths, trying to calm her nerves. She looked every inch a fashionable young woman. There was no reason anyone would suspect she was anything other than what she appeared to be. "You can do this," Quinn whispered to her reflection. "Just be yourself." With shaking hands, Quinn gathered her purse and keys. She paused at the front door, momentarily overwhelmed by what she was about to do. Then, squaring her shoulders, she stepped out into the sunshine. The warm afternoon air caressed Quinn's face as she made her way down the front walk. She'd decided to walk to a nearby coffee shop, not quite feeling brave enough to drive in heels just yet. As she walked, Quinn was acutely aware of every sensation: the swish of her skirt against her legs, the click of her heels on the sidewalk, the light breeze playing with her hair. It all felt surreal, like a dream come true. At first, Quinn kept her eyes down, too nervous to make eye contact with anyone she passed. But as she walked, she slowly began to relax. Nobody was staring or pointing. To the world, she was just another young woman out for a stroll on a beautiful day. Feeling emboldened, Quinn lifted her chin and smiled at an older woman walking her dog. The woman smiled back and gave a friendly nod. Quinn's heart soared. She'd just had her first interaction as a woman, and it had gone perfectly. By the time Quinn reached the coffee shop, she was feeling much more confident. She joined the short line at the counter, perusing the menu board while she waited. When it was her turn to order, she stepped up to the counter with a smile. "I'll have a vanilla latte, please," she said, proud of how steady her voice sounded. The barista, a young man with kind eyes, smiled back at her. "Sure thing. Can I get a name for the order?" Quinn's heart skipped a beat. This was it. The moment she'd speak her chosen name out loud to another person for the first time. "Quinn," she said, her voice soft but clear. "Coming right up, Quinn," the barista replied, scribbling on a cup. As she waited for her drink, Quinn felt a warm glow of happiness spread through her. She'd done it. She'd gone out in public as herself and ordered a coffee in her true name. It might seem like a small thing to most people, but to Quinn, it was monumental. Latte in hand, Quinn chose a small table by the window. She sipped her drink and watched the world go by, reveling in the simple pleasure of existing as her authentic self in public. For the first time in her life, she felt truly free. As the afternoon wore on, Quinn's confidence grew. She browsed a nearby bookstore, chatting easily with the clerk about new releases. She window shopped at boutiques, imagining a wardrobe full of pretty dresses and skirts. At a makeup counter in a department store, Quinn allowed herself to be talked into trying a new lipstick shade. The saleswoman complimented her skin tone and offered tips on application. Quinn left with not only the lipstick, but a wealth of new knowledge and a boost to her self-esteem. By the time Quinn headed home, the sun was starting to set. Her feet ached from hours of walking in heels, but her heart was light. She'd faced her fears and come out victorious. The world had accepted her as Quinn without question. Back at home, Quinn kicked off her shoes with a sigh of relief. She made herself a light dinner, then settled onto the couch with a glass of wine to reflect on the day's events. Quinn set her empty wine glass on the coffee table and picked up her phone. She felt like she was floating on a cloud, still riding the high of her wonderful afternoon as her true self. But now, another urge was building within her. With a few swipes, she opened a dating app and began scrolling through potential matches. Her heart raced as she swiped right on profiles that intrigued her. She couldn't believe she was finally doing this, putting herself out there as Quinn, looking for exactly what she wanted. After several exciting matches, Quinn crafted a message, her heart ready with anticipation. Thanks for watching. The rest won't be viewable on YouTube, so check out Patreon if you want more.